insane. So yeah, that was, I think, the last time I ever saw my dad. So
I was expecting like a light, like, you know, like drove a golf cart into like a pool one time. I wasn't expecting that. I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit with my story. Okay, so like, you know, my family's from Ohio. Yes. I was visiting my grandparents before my mom moved up there, and there's this place called Yellow Springs, and it's like super nice, super white, lots of like hippies, but it's really, really fun. And there's like, yeah, Hannah would love it there. So there's a lot of psychics in the area.
They stole it.
So I go to a psychic. I don't really like believe in that stuff, but I was like, you know what, like, I'll do like the cheapest thing there, call it a day. I'll be able to see if it's real or not, right? So I go in, and I'm like, what is the cheapest reading I can get? And she tells me that she's getting something off of me, and that she'll do it for just $5. And I was like, okay, like,
you gave that bitch
my vibes, like, yeah.
She's about to vibe check the shit out of you.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And she starts telling me about, like, casual things, like the things that, like, they can guess, like, oh, like, I can tell, like, you're a driven woman, like, reading my horoscope. She's like, oh, are you a Scorpio? Just, like, I'm kidding. Just, like, very, like, vague things. And then I was like, okay. And she could see I was, like, kind of getting bored. So she started getting, like, more in depth. And a couple of times, like, she would mention things that were pretty specific. Like, she started telling me about, like, my prom dress and what I wore prom. And I was like, I feel like that's a little bit hard to guess. But she said I was wearing a loose red dress. And, like, that's what I feel like that's a pretty easy description. I don't know if it's, like, an easy guess. So she tells me about that, and then she starts telling me how I have a lot of siblings. I don't know how she would have guessed that one, but, like, this is an old picture. I have, like, 7 siblings, and there's only, like, 3 in this picture. But she's telling me about that. I'm like, okay. Like, these are probably still, like, guessable things. And she's like, but I want to tell you a little bit more about your past life. And I was like, I don't really believe in that kind of stuff. So she started telling me about that, and I was like, she was already kind of losing me. And she was like, well, I can tell you what your boyfriend said to you when you were dropping him off at the bus station. Because I lived in Broward. And he lived in Tampa. So he would come and visit me, and I was like, what is she about to say to me? And he cracked a freaking joke. He was like, say goodbye to Joe. That was like, and I was like, how would she know that joke, you know? Like, I was like,
Twitter, duh.
That's a little bit sus.
how old was she?
She was pretty old. She was like in her like
so
like 60s.
She's just chill as hell.
Yeah, just like straight vibes. No, but I'm like, okay, like she has a little bit of credibility. Like let me hear what she has to say about like this past life. So she starts telling me a little bit more about that, and she said I was a dog, and I was like, I'm a bitch, but really? Like, you got that energy from me already?
Bitch is a female dog. That's what I was thinking.
Wait, what's the middle school joke? Oh, you just called me a bitch? Well, bitch is a female dog, and dogs bark, and bark is on trees, and trees are beautiful because they're a part of nature, so you just call me beautiful.
I've never heard that in my life.
I've never heard that either, but I'm impressed you remembered it.
Okay, so she starts telling me about how I was a dog, but I was an abused animal. And she was telling me about how, like, my owner would keep me locked up on, like, a chain tied to a tree while he was at work.
And trees are beautiful.
So she's telling me about that, and I was like, she could tell I did not believe shit coming out of her mouth. And she's like, if you don't believe me, there's a scar right behind your ear. Just feel right back here, and you'll feel a scar. That's where you pulled on your chain so hard until one day it killed you. And that's how you died in your past life. And if you feel it, you can feel the scar.
In your face.